Hey, mics are hot.
I don't know. Can you get a hub on? Absolutely. Oh. Yeah. Done that. YouTube. Gotta make sure it's good. I hear you coming. Like, how does this one work? We're playing 20 right now. Oh, wow. Oh, hell.
Coming up on NEC-TV, we're making history as we report from NEC's brand new TV studio.
A special NEC women's ice hockey game held in memory of Sydney Capolino and Megan Moore. How you can donate to a charity that helps future female student athletes.
And politics professor Dr. Nathan Schrader is in studio, discussing President Trump's first days in office for his second term.
Plus, we'll tell you about an athletics team that's returning to the campus of NEC after nearly a decade.
And head to the mats with NEC's women's wrestling, a look at some of the leaders as they wrap up their second season as a team. All this and more coming up on NEC-TV.
Good afternoon, my name is Lauren Hall.
And I'm Kyle Dobry. It is February 11th and you are watching NEC-TV. Winter break was an exciting time for NEC. Many new additions came to the campus and community, including this brand new TV studio. The studio includes an anchor desk and interview set. It's equipped with 3 state-of-the-art cameras, set lights, and 2 editing suites.
Today is the first ever official show. Thanks for joining us at NEC TV. Now to our top story. The women's ice hockey team hosted Salve Regina in the Lee Clement Ice Arena for the first annual Megan Moore and Sydney Capolino Legacy Game. Prior to the game, NEC held a ceremony for 2 former Pilgrims, Megan and Sydney, after their passing less than a year ago. In front of fans, alumni, and players, the family of Megan Moore and Sydney Capolino performed a ceremonial puck drop before the game. NEC Athletic Director Dave JaQ says Moore and Capolino have a lasting impact on the NEC community.
I knew Megan. She helped us out in various ways in the department. She was a criminal justice major. She was a spirited individual, was the way we always used to say it. I mean, she had a lot of fun. She knew everyone, and I just think she brought a lot of energy to campus. Sydney was a tremendous student, really down to earth, like the type of person that any coach would want to have. Just followed along, at times, was a leader at times, and both of them just in their own way, certainly brought a lot of light to campus.
When the Grims and Seahawks took the ice, scoring started early. Emily Robluski scored the first goal for the Seahawks, and the Grims answered back with less than 2 minutes left in the first period when Angelina DeDavidis tied the game at 1. The second period was filled with scoring, starting with Seahawks Samantha McKenzie. Minutes later, Meadow Gilchrist ties the game at 2. McKenzie and the Seahawks would answer right back, taking the lead. Jordan Pond scores her 3rd goal of the season, tying the game again at 3 goals each. In the third, Olivia Lindbergh gave the Grims the first lead of the game, but within the next minute the Seahawks tied it right back up at 4, heading into overtime. Only 9 seconds into overtime, Riley Esposito scores the game-winning goal for the Seahawks. Grims goalie Lucy Armour tallied 51 saves. Throughout the game, there was a table in the arena selling memorabilia, and all proceeds went towards the Cape Cod Scholarship Foundation in honor of Megan Moore. According to the Cape Cod Foundation, women who are graduating high school seniors from Cape Cod and have demonstrated dedication and hard work as a student athlete. This scholarship honors Megan's remarkable legacy to empower future student athletes. You could scan the QR code to donate.
Over winter break, several announcements were made regarding additions to the athletics department and facilities. I spoke with Athletic Director Dave DeCue regarding a new varsity team and other additions. Over winter break, NEC Athletics announced that track and field will be making a return. Track and field will begin varsity competition in the 2026-2027 academic year. Track and field was previously at NEC from 2010 to 2016.
Most people that want to run want to do it year round. So this was going to build that opportunity. We think it's a fertile landscape to find other student athletes that want to join us here and that might not otherwise look at New England College.
Track and field isn't the only new thing coming to New England College. This week, construction has officially begun on the new updates to the athletics facilities and Bridges Gym. Updates include new coaches' offices, expansions to the fitness center and new varsity locker rooms, and new sports medicine rooms.
So it's a really big deal, not just for our school, but anywhere. And yeah, we're hoping that this is the type of thing that will just make us better, more competitive, continue to attract more student athletes that can help our teams win. And yeah, from an athletic perspective, it's going to be awesome.
Construction will take place throughout the rest of this semester and is expected to continue through most of the summer. NEC held its annual Founders Day celebration to recognize the college's history as a place of higher education for veterans. NEC was created to support those returning home from World War II. This year's keynote speaker was retired Navy Captain Lynn Blankenbecker, who served in both military and civilian capacities and completed numerous deployments and assignments throughout the Middle East.
Being born a woman in the United States has afforded me so many tremendous opportunities. We can drive cars and we can vote. Yep. And we can go to college and we can do things that women in other countries can't do. And I think that really what that has underscored for me is not just for women, but our opportunities as Americans to be able to do whatever it is that we want to do. Whether it's it's just boundless and limitless.
Blankenbecker was deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Guantanamo Bay, and currently works in the Pentagon.
Henniker's Historical Society is offering a $500 reward for the return of the granite marker that honors the oldest house in town. This granite marker is over 6 feet tall and weighs 1,000 pounds. The Historical Society believes that someone used heavy machinery to haul it away, and they say it has been missing for more than a year.
So we decided to put out a missing poster, and that's generated a couple of leads, but nothing that has been solid to let us know if we can recover the marker.
The Henniker Police Department is investigating the incident. Give them a call if you have any information.
Coming up after the break, we sit down with NEC's new theater director.
Dr. Schrader joins us for a look at President Trump's first days back in office.
And it's a busy week in athletics. We break down the latest in Grimm sports.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. NEC has a new theater director who will be leading the spring production of Boy Gets Girl.
Dr. Jennifer Herron graduated from Tufts and is currently teaching at Bunker Hill. Herron says that the students at NEC chose the play, which is a psychological thriller about when a blind date goes wrong. Auditions were held last week.
A lot of people brought monologues of their own, and I saw some really great stuff, so I'm really excited to see what we're going to see tonight. People are going to do scenes, but I think we're going to have a great show.
The show runs April 17th through April 19th. NEC students get in free. For more information, go to www.nec.edu.
The Student Government Association had its first meeting of the semester on January 13th. SGA members say the drunk tanks in Charter Hall are being renovated into club spaces soon, and the Senate put forth a motion to amend the SGA Constitution to make it easier to understand and fix some glaring issues. Right now, there are several Senate seats that need to be filled.
It's great to have them, so then we have people who are voices during our meetings, to me, to the e-board.
If any students are interested in a senator position, reach out to NEC-SGA@nec.edu.
NEC's Connections Fair was held recently in the Great Room. It's one of the ways the college promotes clubs and other organizations. The fair also featured a custom license plate maker. Some of the clubs included Business, Teach, NECRA, and WNEC. Anyone looking to connect the club could check out the recent story posted on thenewenglander.com.
President Donald Trump is making headlines for several changes announced during his first few weeks back in office.
NEC-TV's Jack Cody joins us in the studio to get analysis from NEC political expert Dr. Nathan Schrader.
I am joined by Dr. Nathan Schrader today, who is going to be discussing politics. So I do have a couple questions for you today.
Okay.
Based on your political expertise, what are your thoughts and observations on the first 2 weeks with our new president in office?
Well, I'll start out by saying there's an English translation of an old Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times. And I think I've been using that in class a lot lately because I think it describes essentially what we're experiencing. After the first 8 days of this presidency, I actually had felt like we had just done a whole midterm of the whole first 2 years. There was so much a flurry of activity coming from the executive branch that it was hard to keep up with it. And I actually think that was part of the strategy, right, is to put an overwhelming amount of executive orders and directives out and hope they stick, right? Put so much out that the opposition can't really respond effectively to all of it because the volume is so great.
Yeah. How do these first 2 weeks compare to what we've seen historically?
Well, normally, going back to the 1940s and Franklin Roosevelt, his presidency, we traditionally use the metric of what does the president get done in the first 100 days to determine the success or failure of their early time in office. We've seen so much activity in the first 2 weeks that may change the way we even describe the first 100-day, the classic first 100-day period. But I would say this is the most fascinating piece to me, is that presidents normally come into office in what's called a honeymoon period, where the public is the most willing to give them the benefit of the doubt when they're new in office. And their approval rating is usually the highest at any point at the beginning of their term. Trump is coming in with a 47% approval rating, which is the lowest anyone's come in with since the 1940s when we started measuring that. And he's also not doing what the traditional approach is, which is to get your most popular agenda items through early. He's actually embarking upon getting some of his least popular agenda items out early in front of the public. That's a really bold strategy. We've not seen this happen in this way very often, and so we don't have a lot of precedent to lean on this one.
What are you excited for? What are your fears?
Well, look, one of the things as a political science professor, I'm excited to see the executive branch and the legislative branch attempting to determine what are the limitations of each. Because right now the executive branch under President Trump is really pushing the limits, trying to test the legislative branch, test the Congress, see and the courts, how far are they willing to let him go before they rein him in. Because remember, we're supposed to have 3 separate but equal branches of government. Right now, Trump's early efforts were to kind of assert himself as the most powerful actor in the constellation of actors in politics. Instead of being a co-equal branch, he's trying to show his dominance as he's the strong man. Now, as far as what I'm afraid of, it's the way in which some of the executive orders have been issued that, for example, trying to rewrite constitutional law, rewrite constitutional amendments like the birthright citizenship amendment that falls under the 14th. You can't change that without a constitutional amendment, but the president's trying to do that unilaterally. If that were to succeed, that would scare me very much for any president in the future could attempt to rewrite the Constitution without going through using Congress or going through the process, the amendment process.
What is your message to students on this campus about what things will look like over the next 4 years?
That's a fantastic question. I wish I had a great answer for them, but I'll tell you what I've been telling my students in class. Look, if you're one of the people who are upset about what's happening, don't become so despondent that you give up. And likewise, if you're on the winning side and you support Trump, don't assume that you're going to be in power forever, because power fluctuates. So keep focused. Like, if your interest is pushing back against what the Trump administration is doing, try to find the most effective way to do that. Join an organization in the area, in the state, in the country that advocates for what you believe in. Just don't kind of think that you're out on your own trying to support your positions. But if you're on the side of President Trump, be very careful what your side does, because you will eventually be back in the minority party. And if you open up the doors to some of these activities and actions, the other party could easily use that against you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Schrader.
Coming up after the break, winter sports teams are nearing the end of the regular season. We'll take a look at each team's record as they make a postseason push.
And we talked to members of NEC's women's wrestling team after an impressive streak. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Winter sports at New England College are starting to come to an end for the season. Men's basketball is 3-18 this season. Women's basketball is 10-11. Men's ice hockey is 9-11-1. Women's ice hockey is 2-20. Men's wrestling is 2-15. Women's wrestling is 5-9. Men's wrestling is traveling to the University of Southern Maine for their next meet. And women's wrestling has regionals coming up at Elmira College. As of right now, men's ice hockey is set to make the playoffs. NEC's women's wrestling team is heading to Elmira College for the NEC-AA Region 1 tournament on the weekend of February 22nd and 23rd.
The team was established just last year. Earlier this month, the team finished 9th out of 37 teams at the Bobcat Open in Maryland. The team has had an impressive season. Freshman Jackie Denny has had an impressive season. She's undefeated heading into regionals. Junior Callie Camarena Tejeda says she's proud of the success this team has seen this season.
Overall as a team, I think all of us have made really big strides from the beginning of the season till now. I still feel like we have some room for improvement, but every day we're getting better.
The top 4 finishers from regionals will head to the nationals in March.
The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in 40-22 to win the franchise's second ever Vince Lombardi Trophy and spoil the Chiefs' three-peat. This was the second time in just 3 years that the two teams have faced each other in the Super Bowl. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts was named Super Bowl MVP for his dominating 3-touchdown performance on Sunday. The Eagles' defense stood strong through the first half and allowed no points. When the two teams met in the Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs came back from a 10-point deficit at halftime to defeat the Eagles 38-35 with just 8 seconds remaining in the game. This is just the second time the two teams have faced each other in the Super Bowl in a span of 3 seasons or less. The last time this happened was in 1993 and 1994 when the Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills faced each other. The Cowboys took home both Vince Lombardi trophies. Experts said the Chiefs were favored to win by 1.5 points.
Prior to today's show, the NEC-TV team made their predictions on who they wanted to win Super Bowl 59.
As you can see, the team ended up being pretty accurate with who they wanted to see win the Super Bowl. We had a little bit of divide in the studio last week in making our picks, but most of the team ended up with their team on top.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at nec.tv for the latest NEC news.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you right back here next week for all things NEC from the only Henniker on Earth. Goodbye.